Me 35, newly hired head of people operations at a giant logistics company. Company moves all the boring things civilization actually needs: auto parts, medicine, grain cleaning, supplies, all the unsexy blood of the economy. The place itself looks like depression, got a facilities budget, beige walls, buzzing lights, coffee that tastes like printer ink posters, about teamwork hung by people who never talk to the warehouse. Execs call the company stable, which is just fossilized with better PR. My role gets pitched as modernization, belonging, and culture, refresh translation. Make the company look progressive without touching the old power structure too hard still. I show up confident, because confidence is what got me hired. Degree-polished language, real belief systems can be fixed if someone smart enough gets the keys. First week is a tour of quiet misery, disguised as professionalism. Every department has at least one manager whose whole worldview is, we've always done it this way. CEO smiles in group meetings and vanishes into private rooms where actual decisions happen. Middle managers nod at everything and then go right back to doing whatever they were going to do. Anyway, none of that scares me. At first, my office becomes the only bright spot on the floor, plants in the window, whiteboard on the wall, optimism pumped straight into my bloodstream. First month is a run of easy wins that are mostly language. Handbook gets cleaned up, so it sounds less like a threat holiday party. Becomes neutral winter mixer, meeting rules appear. So interruptions at least look punishable on paper. Feedback form goes live and fills with equal parts, nervous gratitude and petty whining. Some employees thank me in the hall, like I'm putting out fires. Some managers praise my energy, in that tone that sounds like approval and warning, had a child. Marketing asks for photos, so my office becomes a culture backdrop. CEO smiles and says good momentum. That phrase becomes oxygen for a while. Momentum feels real, so I start moving faster. New hire training gets rewritten. Mentoring pilot launches, monthly listening sessions, go live and look great in decks. Then people start dropping one weird phrase when they think I'm safe. Don't mess with the basement, guys, said, half joking, fully serious. Another manager whispers, if they're quiet, we're safe. Curiosity turns into irritation because nobody explains anything directly. Questions get answered with jokes, and jokes always hide fear. I pull the org chart, basement team. Looks like some relic footnote under the reel. Company, 3 men over 50 with titles boring enough to sound fake. Salaries, obscene benefits. Look like stolen artifacts from the early 2000s. The math doesn't match the way people talk about them. So my brain does what brains do when they're angry and self-righteous, invents a villain, story, old boys club, protected dinosaurs, overpaid ghosts, hiding underground and ignoring the new world. And because the story fits what I already believe, it feels like truth. I send them a friendly meeting, invite, culture, alignment, low pressure, collaborative tone, nothing back, not even a decline. Second invite goes out softer and more accommodating. One sentence comes back from a man named Dean, can't. Critical cycle, no greeting, no signature. The other two, don't bother replying. Anger arrives hot, because authority means nothing if it can be ignored. With punctuation, planning starts, because planning is how I get control back. Finance is already doing frontline compensation review, and timing feels perfect. I crack open the basement salaries again, and the outrage feels clean. Dean, 60, systems architect, paid like a niche celebrity. Martin, 57, database admin, paid like a VP Len, 64, network engineer, paid like a retained consultant combined cost, disgusting enough to make justice feel urgent. So I go down there myself, clipboard in hand, like a prop from a movie where HR thinks she's law enforcement. Elevator only goes so far. Then stairs, then a heavy door and a badge. Beep noise hits. First the endless machine, hum racks blinking in rows, like a buried city in the middle. There's a glass office box, little kingdom inside the machine room. Dean leans back with headphones on. Martin reads a newspaper, like the internet never happened. Len is tying something tiny, with calm old hands. Not one of them looks up when I walk in. I greet them, nothing clear. My throat still nothing. Finally, Dean lifts one ear cup and tells me, I'm letting the cold air out, says either enter fully or leave no hello. No basic courtesy, just climate control and contempt. I give name and title because titles are a shield in my world. Ask about workload, priorities, collaboration, visibility. Dean points at a dashboard full of green and says green means things are moving. That's the whole sermon. I ask if this is seriously their answer. Martin says they're paid for what breaks and what they know when the lights turn red. That answer gets expensive. I leave furious and more convinced than ever that I'd found the final old regime shrine pull ticket reports. Their volume looks laughable if you pretend all work is comparable. Meanwhile, frontline teams are closing mountains of little tasks for a fraction of the pay-perfect setup for a deck. So I build one cost reduction, modernization, agility, all the corporate words that make destruction look like leadership. CFO eats it up because savings is his love language, asks one real question. Will the business notice? I answer, way too fast. Modern talent adapts. That's enough for him. Friday afternoon becomes execution. Window Dean comes in annoyed, not worried. I give him the HR speech about strategic realignment and role elimination. He reads it, signs it, then says something I'll understand. Far too late. Capable is not the same as ready. Then another line, this place is a freight train, and I just fired the engineers, not the passengers. I ignore it, because righteousness hates inconvenient metaphors. Martin signs and leaves. Len smiles like retirement might finally happen before his blood pressure explodes by 4. The basement old guard is gone, and I feel lighter than I should. Then I hire my future Jace. 24, podcast voice, beanie indoors, worships velocity. Sky 23, bubbly, aesthetic. First, calls everything a vibe. Archer 25, self-taught, intense, always typing like he owes the keyboard. Money combined salary, looks like proof that I'm brilliant. I even spend some of the savings remodeling the basement. Polished concrete, colored lights. Bean bags, beautiful espresso machine. Old machines hidden behind decorative slats like ugly relatives at a wedding. Honeymoon lasts about a month because disaster likes dramatic timing. First, crack his shipping labels, they vanish. Warehouse starts handwriting things. Trucks back up. Ramon from the dock calls, furious. Archer shrugs and says, the old setup was gross, so he cleaned it week later. They patch it just enough. And I tell leadership it's transition, friction. Next crack is scanner, lag. Every scan, taking seconds too long. Jace says security overhead. Ramon says missed windows and furious drivers. Then payroll explodes because Sky deleted something she thought was redundant. Dock workers get shorted overtime. And suddenly nobody cares about my values. Language then quarter end arrives overnight. Reconciliation. The one process that cannot fail. Phone starts exploding after midnight. Gordon screaming, get here now. Parking lot full at 1 a.m. Basement packed and wrong. The big old machine is dark. Someone admits it, started making a weird sound, so they killed power, brought it back. Machine never did, code blinking backup. Gets mentioned, then everyone looks at the floor. The tape unit is gone, thrown away because it ruined the vibe, and the cloud was the future. That's when panic finally becomes honest. Warehouse manager says he has perishables on the dock and no usable lists. CEO arrives and asks for a report. CFO points at me with zero hesitation. I explain what I can, then the CEO asks, the one question that ends my whole mythology. Did I verify redundancy before firing the legacy team? Silence answers for me because I don't have an answer. I have a narrative which turns out not to boot mainframes. They order me to call them, call Dean, call Martin, call Len 1. On a boat, one won't answer, 1. Finally does, and sounds less angry than tired. I beg, money gets offered, apologies get thrown. Eventually legal makes enough guarantees that they come in, and when the old men walk back into the basement, the room actually changes. Calm arrives with them. Not because they're magical, because they know what every blinking light means. They don't lecture, don't gloat, just ask questions, sort the wreckage, and start undoing the damage. Hours later, the system breathes again, and the CEO publicly shakes Dean's hand in front of everyone. That's the moment my authority actually dies. Not when I get demoted later, right there in front of beanbags and blinking racks. The lesson is visible to everyone. I swapped functioning ugly reality for decorative incompetence, formal consequences. Come as reassignment, policy, admin, paperwork, bright office gone, praise gone, hallway, smiles gone. A few weeks later, I resign. Tell myself it's because the place is toxic. Tell myself the old men hoarded knowledge to stay powerful. Tell myself the company sabotaged progress. All those stories feel warm because shame always wants a costume. I leave, make a very polished LinkedIn post about legacy toxicity and resistance to change, get likes, hearts, messages, calling me brave validation hits like medicine, and medicine helps you ignore the bruise. Then the next company happens. Trendy tech firm, bright walls, louder slogans. Title again, hope again, second week, small crisis. Someone says ask the reliability contractors. That word basement lands in my head before anyone says it. I ride down cold air, heavy hum, blinking racks, glass. Office, and there they are. Dean Martin, Len, different company, same posture, same old calm. Dean recognizes me and gives one small professional nod, says green is green, while pointing at the dashboard, and suddenly the mirror is everywhere. I leave that basement carrying the one lesson I still don't fully want to swallow. The world runs on ugly knowledge held by difficult people, and replacing them with prettier stories doesn't make the world kinder, just more fragile.